Hello, in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to set up post-processing and give you a basic rundown of what it does. So what we've got here is a scene I've created and we're going to add a post-processing volume. So if we go over to our modes panel, type in post, we've got post-processing volume, just drag that to your scene and you'll get this. Now we'll start off by just making this so it covers the whole scene. So what we'll do is we're in the panel over the right here, in the details panel, just shrink these down. Yeah, so we'll just scroll down until we get infinite extent unbound. Tick that. So that means that basically this will go on for the entire scene. We will set a size later to show what you can do. So now we've got our whole scene encompassed. What we can do is if we scroll back up here, what this does is this controls the entire scene. So you can sort of set up your lighting, this, that, and the other. But for instance, you might think, well, I want this to be a bit colder. I want this to be a bit colder, this scene to be a bit colder, or a bit warmer, or a bit, whatever you want to do to it. I won't go through all of these because, as you can see here, there are loads. It's just a matter of playing with them, obviously Googling them. I'll just show you the ones that I frequently use. Now, say we want to make this colder, so we'll go to white balance, under color gradient, temp, and if we drag this down, you'll see it gradually goes bluer, or very blue. We can drag it the other way, it gets warmer. So as you can see there, that's affecting everything in the scene. So if we go over here, it makes it blue. If we look over there, see what it's doing. So as you can see, that's what it's doing. So we've obviously got stuff here for if you want to really exaggerate things like shadows. You can make them darker, lighter, or, well, not shadows, but the darker content of it. The ones I generally use are white balance. If we scroll down, I'm in just, Unreal 420 in 425, I believe. It changes quite a bit, but the same principle's still there, but it's just got a lot more to it. Exposure's a good one. So say we want to make this scene brighter, we can do that. Brighter. More exposure in the camera, so you got that there. I'll turn those two off. Image effects, this is one I use a lot. So Vignette, that gives you that sort of dark look around the edge of your pictures. You can see here, if I turn it off, it disappears. So a lot of people use that when they're creating scenes to sort of almost make them more photorealistic. I don't actually know why. But yeah, that's used a lot. I use it a lot. Grain jitter, if you want to get that cinematic sort of, I'll really over-exaggerate. I'm not sure if YouTube's compression will show this, but when I up the intensity, you can see here it gets that film grain look. Obviously, you wouldn't want it that much. You'd be fiddle about with the intensity, how much you want to see it, etc. You've got global illumination. I love using this. It can be quite intense. Sometimes depending on your scene, so I use this a lot to get, like, you can sort of see. Yeah, there we go. It's good. There we go. So you can see there when I've applied it, it's lighting the scene. I guess it's bouncing the light around a little bit more. You can enable, disable the motion blur here for cameras. What else have we got? This one I use a lot. Screen space reflections. This adds, when we enable it, where I think you can see over here more. So if we look here, as I up this, you can see it's getting a bit more reflective. So if your reflections are too, in a way, too sharp, too reflective, and you don't want them, screen space reflections sort of, I don't know, it makes them look a bit more realistic. Say if you're looking at a puddle, you wouldn't necessarily see the building, say a building was reflecting the puddle, you wouldn't necessarily see that spot on. You would get a bit of the tarmac underneath, things like that. And the screen space reflection smooth, that's used a lot in like AAA games, but this is very intense. It's one of those you want to use sparingly in your games, etc. But yeah, so what I'll show you, one last thing, is what we'll do is we'll go to our white balance and we're going to make it blue. So what we can do here is if we scroll back down in the details panel to our infinite extent, untick that, and what we'll do is we'll make this box, just using the brush settings, we can make this box a little bit bigger. That's the way I want. So now what we can do is, you can see here, done absolutely nothing. It's all red. But if we slide into this box, it goes blue. And if we slide back out, it's back to normal. Now, this is great, obviously, if you imagine you're going from a sunny area into a haunted cemetery. This is great because you can, you're not having to affect the whole scene. So, it can put a lot less strain on your system. You don't have to work, try and get everything right. So, as I say, if you're doing a cemetery, it's not going to be the same as a Miami type sunset or something like that. So yeah, this is basically really just to show you a rough idea of how to get this working and what you can do with it. What I've explained here doesn't necessarily, it's not limited to that. There is so much in here. I'm just showing you what I use this stuff here to use, sort of just disable that lens flares, all sorts. You sort of can make it really sort of, you can see there you're getting this little lens flare when we move into the camera. So you can do all sorts of stuff with it. It's used, as I say, a lot in games. It's great for obviously cinematics. It's used, say, for instance, if you're doing film compositing in Premiere, stuff like that. They're very advanced stuff using LUTs, which I believe you can buy LUTs for Unreal, which give that sort of the cinema. They have cinematic LUTs, giving you different feels that have to be used in cinemas, etc. So yeah, hopefully this helps. If it does, please give a like and maybe subscribe. Thanks.